So first of all, will Donald Trump ever be happy? Probably not. Even if they come to these numbers, which I think is more or less impossible, you'll just find the next thing to throw at Germany, or not even at Germany, whomever pleases him at that very moment. Will she ever meet it? Will she grow into that responsibility? It's extremely hard. I think the most significant thing is to show that we are an extremely reliable partner in military terms, that we are willing, as we did over the last few years and 2 decades, willing to take responsibility in even nastier places around this globe, and then, of course, come closer to the threshold of 2%. But it is quite hard. It will be extremely difficult to get that through not only Parliament, but also to get the approval of the wider public in Germany, because we're talking about a lift from around 40 billion right now all the way up to 70 billion. And you can imagine who'll scream the moment you do that. Those who want to have the pensions, the other one who want to have some subsidies here and there. And then we are back at the typical political game, which is always very ugly and unpleasant as well.
You were very much involved at the time when you were in that position of dealing with Iran and Iran's nuclear issue. What is your analysis of where we are on the story now? Because I think there are many who are concerned that America has walked away from this deal, that the Europeans don't seem to be holding it together, and Britain, of course, has its own issue with this seized tanker. Give us your thoughts. How dangerous is the situation as you see it?
I think it is rather dangerous. On one hand, I don't expect anyone stepping deliberately into a war. I talk to many stakeholders in the US spectrum, political spectrum, and everyone says even Donald Trump, who is always good for a surprise, and that's the mildest phrase I can find for his political acting, doesn't have not an interest at all to ruin his re-election chances for next year by waging a war against Iran. On the other hand, talking to stakeholders from the region over there, they're dead afraid, and they say we have never been as close to war as right now. Brings me to the conclusion, a rather banal conclusion, that we are now at the threshold. If we have an accident, and just an accident, it could ignite even more right away. And the one thing that worries me the most, we have never been as disunited in the so-called Western part of the group of 6. So it means the European stakeholders and players and the US. There's no unified voice, and that of course is a toxic element, because it brings the Chinese and the Russians into a position to widen existing rifts even further. And at the end of the day, that doesn't play into the necessary harmony we need to come to peaceful solutions down there.
Before you were in defence, you had an economic portfolio, so you know the issues around the German economy very closely. France and Britain are talking about taxes on revenue for American tech companies. Why isn't Germany also getting involved in this conversation? Is it that they're too worried about the repercussion of sanctions on the auto sector?
I think they're trembling. They would like to see more pressure on some of the big tech colossuses from the US, and I think if they talk silently to each other and say, yes, let's do that. On the other hand, they are dead afraid to get all the negative repercussions from the German public when it hits the auto industry. And with Donald Trump, you have to be aware, he doesn't care whether the things are tightly interrelated, logically or intellectually. He just says, okay, here have a token. And if they deal badly with my guys on the West Coast, and they don't like each other as well, but at that point he'll be a patriot regarding his industries, he'll say, okay, let's hit the German auto industry, and he'll hit the backbone of German industry, because, you know, as all the supply chains and all the other things are tightly interconnected with the auto industry, that's one of the things that might be rather damaging, and that's probably the reason why the German political players currently don't align with the UK and France.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.